Hey everyone, I'm Jasmine Maietta, founder of Round 21 and co-founder of this first ever Crypto Sports Week. The objective of this primer that you've tuned into from wherever you are with your very busy schedules is a sense of grounding for this Crypto Sports Week that is all related to the fundamentals of how NFTs, crypto, and the sports world are coming into formation. We have an incredible crew who's pulled some of this content together. It's just the beginning. We can't go too deep, but let's dive right in. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to use some of this content to guide the next 30 to 40 minutes. So starting with an introduction to this week. So we've seen the sports world completely rocked by this new future of commerce. There's certainly a sense of anticipation about who's going to drop the NFT next. There's a sense of what does this all mean to my business? And so we're trying to make sure that over the course of the next 5 days, we lay the groundwork for anyone who leads teams, leagues, or athletes to have a sense of confidence in building a strategy that's right for you. The team behind Crypto Sports Week is really built on the backs of these 4 people. Lady Pheonix, who's been a pioneer in digital art, who owns Universe Contemporary, has been leading event-led opportunities for digital artists and leaders in fashion, and this is her first Crypto Sports Week. Again, I'm Jasmine, founder of Round 21, a brand at the intersection of art and sport, who's using a very strong experimentation strategy going into this new way of blockchain, art, NFTs, and sports coming into formation. And Round 21 is proud to be part of creating this as well. Greg, who joins us from Europe, is a leader and thought leader, certainly in the industry of art, and also has been pulling together events with his company Expo Boulevard. And then Dylan, who's been leading all of the tech and the beautiful experience on our website. And he comes to us having led multiple crypto events with Lady Pheonix in the past, as well as Greg. So the next few minutes are going to be all about orientation. And the goal is that you leave with a sense of understanding about what crypto and sports means for you. So let's take a big step back and think about how sports have always had a sense of nostalgia, a sense of emotion, and has appreciated over time. So just this weekend, if you paid attention to the news around Michael Jordan's jersey that he wore in a college game, it seems like it was one of the most authenticated, one of the most valued asset that MJ has ever put into the world because of the sense of scarcity and its uniqueness. But what this article honestly failed to represent was that instead of memorabilia relying on authentication through photography, blockchain and the sense of authentication and ownership that can be unlocked with crypto is a new way forward for sports, moments in sports, and fan engagement because of the way that we can build non-fungible tokens as part of what we provide fans and what we provide the legacy of athletes who are really building their story as it unfolds in front of this generation of digital-first consumers. And so what authenticated athletics means is it provides today's consumers, today's teams, leagues, and athletes the ability to represent who they are, represent stories they want to tell, be represented by the teams and in the leagues that they play for in a way that is rooted in non-fungible tokens, which is what NFT stands for. So let's first talk about what is an NFT. As I mentioned, NFT stands for non-fungible token. Fungible means that it can be copied. Non-fungible tokens means that it cannot be copied. And an NFT is a token that provides validity at its first glance to a digital file. But this digital file actually can have proof of both digital and physical elements. And what I mean by that is this digital file that's associated with a digital good or physical good can provide meaning and value because it cannot be copied, because it's an original. And because that originality is authenticated on chain, it has a unique identifier that cannot be replicated. And because it's on chain, is highly transparent, so that over time, people who own a certain token can have very strong confidence because of the transparency that they are the custodian of that asset, and that it isn't and never has been replaced or copied. And so the question then often comes, and I'm not here to talk about the tech behind blockchain, but I do think somebody who's trying to learn what an NFT is certainly needs to have a very superficial understanding, at least, around how the blockchain works. And so its relation to the NFT is that it is essentially the framework, the circuit board, the chain that the tokens are minted on and that the tokens are validated within. So in very, very high level terms, 6 kind of conceptual steps is that when one wants to acquire an NFT, a transaction is requested. That request is a block that represents the transaction is being created, and it is sent to every node in the network related to the chain that that asset is connected to. The validation takes place with miners finding ways to quickly apply the authentication and the work that is required to have what is called either proof of work or proof of stake. And then that block is added to the existing blockchain with all of the public and private keys that establish who the owner is. And so the blockchain effectively becomes this transparent world where the non-fungible tokens live. And so instead of having to rely on private companies or organizations, or as people talk about DeFi in the financial market, having to rely upon third parties to certify transactions, the blockchain does this for individuals. And so every time a node is added to the blockchain, the node is verified, and those transactions sit alongside all of the other nodes and transactions. And so this blockchain technology enables the NFTs to have that sense of uniqueness, that sense of ownership, that sense of custody that so many people talk about and are excited about, in the sense of how sports now can be validated as well as create engagement for fans. So let's talk about sports. Sports have always been more than just championships. When Brandi Chastain, had her iconic moment on the field of play, that wasn't about her taking her shirt off. That wasn't about even the championship. That was about freedom and power and a sense of incredible emotion that comes with winning at the highest level after putting the entire season on the line. You've got, the iconic track cleats of Michael Johnson, his, not only the signature cleat that he wore that won Olympic gold medals, but think about the artist that designed those cleats, those track spikes. That has value. That appreciates over time because of the nostalgia and the emotion that fans place on those memorable, iconic moments in sports. And I'm going to talk about Trevor Lawrence minting his first NFT here in a second, as he stepped from the collegiate football stage onto what will be his first NFL game here in a few short months. But I want to establish, imagine Tom Brady when he was picked during the NFL Combine, during all of the things that represented his kind of first NFL season. He was draft pick 199, completely considered, completely overlooked at least 198 times. Imagine if there had been an NFT connected, a non-fungible token representing his rookie card connected to that moment, and how it would have appreciated over time. That is what is one of the ways that NFT technology is an opportunity in the future as fans, teams, leagues, brand managers in sports, and athletes think about the legacy that they're creating while it's happening. And there's a lot of business to be had here. I'm not going to read all of these statistics, but certainly in the past, call it 3 to 4 months, as NFTs were becoming more understood and mainstream on the back of Top Shot, the revenue recognized from non-fungible tokens across players dropping NFTs related to something of their accomplishments or something they wanted to see into the future, or the ecosystem that Dapper Labs has built, first with Top Shot and obviously the potential for more to come there. This is absolutely big business. And so if you're turning into Crypto Sports Week, you're at the forefront of an uncharted territory in terms of the commercialization of sports, and should feel really proud that you're here taking advantage of this week. In addition to NFTs that are more commonly thought of as tokens or access or identity or placing value on a moment in time that would appreciate, there's a whole other digital world in sports that will likely manifest around people playing and having a sense of identity in the metaverse. And what metaverse is typically used as is a label for digital worlds. We're not going to have time to go into the potential here, but just thinking about the $2 billion of revenue that Fortnite recognized on the back of digital skins, as well as simply NBA 2K and some of the leaders around EA Sports as properties, recognizing the opportunity to have players represent themselves with digital skins. This, in the form of NFTs, could also be quite a significant business in the future. All that means is that what was a game is increasingly going to be seen as what we call here at Crypto Sports Week, game on chain. And so let's dive into some real case studies that help establish how NFTs have come to market and what the potential might be for you as a business leader or an athlete in the future. So first, only because we're coming off just a few short weeks ago, the NFL draft, and, Trevor Lawrence certainly is a figure when it comes to the potential around blockchain. He very publicly established that his first investment was through an investment with Blockfolio. And then he, followed that up with a second act around an NFT drop on a platform called Bitski, which was establishing what was presented in partnership with Adidas as first pick since day one. So even that title tells a story. This happened, less than a week ago following the NFL draft. What that signals is contextualization, because he was drafted into his NFT, which helps his audience and fans understand why he would be doing this. The platform he chose was Bitski. They created with Adidas a fully branded experience, which obviously is a decision. We're going to get into NFT platforms here in a second. And then the details were really simple. It was a collection featuring an original announcement supported by imagery in the form of what looked like a virtual card. And it had the 3 stripes shot by his father on the back. There were multiple editions of this minted, and because Bitski takes fiat currency, which is traditional currency if you would want to place that label on it, the dollar value is represented on this slide, and the result was just over $150,000 of proceeds or revenue to help Trevor Lawrence support charities of his choice. And so the positioning, as we wanted to call it for this case study, was hometown hero supporting charities. He wanted to kind of symbolize this moment in his career, obviously had the support of Adidas as a preferred partner. And that is one example of how an NFT has dropped just in the last week. And you're constantly going to be hearing from Round 21, Universe Contemporary, and Crypto Sports Week's leadership team all of the real-time examples. So you're going to want to make sure you follow us as you go through your own journey with crypto and sports. The next is one happening literally right now. I don't know the status of this drop right now because I'm, streaming this live to you. But at 1 o'clock Eastern, the Wasserman women are launching a first ever collective NFT drop headlined by Sue Bird and anchored by Megan Rapinoe at the end of the week. So this is coming to life in a first ever series of trading cards, virtual cards, a symbol of their accomplishments, but so much more, because this is about the diaspora of women who are represented by Wasserman, and certainly in their own ways have become icons in their sport, and some of them have become legends off their field of play as well. And so the platform they chose was Zora. And again, we're going to go through the NFT platforms here in a second. But Zora happens to be one of the few, if not the only platform that does not take a processing fee on the primary or secondary sale. And so that allows the artist and athlete to fully maintain the revenue potential of their sale. The NFT details here are going to come to life in a few short hours on Crypto Sports Week on Clubhouse. But to give you a sneak peek, the reasons were really simple. This is about women coming together and saying, we're going to own our destiny and our narrative together as a collective. They want to give their fans a sense of ownership and a way to engage and celebrate the accomplishments and the people behind these personalities. And then they certainly want to build community through commerce over time. And, that is really as broad as the imagination of both the people who are minting this, which is on the Wasserman side, and the athlete side, as well as the owner of the NFT. So stay tuned to find out more about this. But the positioning is about celebrating these women who are a power crew of female athletes. They're champions, they're innovators, and they're certainly not afraid to take risks coming to market as a first ever collective. Next is Naomi Osaka, who took a pretty personal approach, in our opinion. She partnered up with her sister, and this was launched about a month ago. And the platform she chose was Basic Space. The details of this was that the artwork was really about showcasing the many shades of Naomi's personality through heartfelt bursts of color. And what's great here is that her sister is an artist, so taking a much more proactive position around a fine art representation than kind of in the boundaries of a card, which certainly some of the athletes that have gone to market beforehand have defaulted to, which is absolutely fine. Really, the creativity of the athlete and the artist is completely in their hands. But this was an auction approach where there were 38 bids placed, and we don't have the full financial picture, but it appears to have represented about $200K in revenue. And this was again rooted in Naomi's point of view that what she's building here is an NFT that really is designed to contribute to a philanthropic cause that is really close, near and dear to her heart, around Play Academy. And this was a personal, heartfelt from the duo offer to share something that is more of a personal representation and manifestation of Naomi to her fans across the world. Couldn't do a case study without representing a team. We're very aware of the NBA and the NHL and some of the other leagues offering the opportunity for teams to take advantage of this new commerce and future of connection with fans. And so the Golden State Warriors were first, not, unforeseen, as they sit in kind of the belly of Silicon Valley and probably have been turned on and aware of what blockchain technology might offer organizations in the future. But I was really pleased and proud to be a part of this drop party. And it was clear that from the top down, they had the endorsement and support of both their president, a player joined, as well as somebody from their venture arm. And I think it's really important, if you're a league or a team or an agency, to think about this as uncharted territory, not as a marketing expense. There could be a reason to say, hey, this is completely an experiment. Maybe this is a CapEx expense to really launch an NFT and recognize the revenue. But they definitely seem to have the air cover and support of the leadership team when they launched this. And they chose to launch on OpenSea. And so OpenSea is a very decentralized kind of marketplace for NFTs. And this is all personal preference. Some brands and leagues and athletes want a more curated and branded experience. And the Golden State Warriors created that with a storefront and a website. But when you went to go buy, and Round 21 bought one of these, we're proud owners of a Golden State Warrior championship ring, you clicked and it went right into OpenSea. And so this included digital representations of championship rings from the decades of wins. And it also had a signatures collection of commemorative ticket stubs, which was also very emblematic of obviously a team going to market with their first NFT. And so they did a kind of a first ever 6-time NBA championship ring, which is the one that's represented here. Obviously, this is an incredible visual of what that could be. But they also wanted to pair it with live experiences as well as a custom championship ring presentation. And so we foresee what was a $2.6 million investment by their fan community, we foresee the Warriors really taking a proactive approach and recognizing the value of that back to the NFT holders. There was something about the way they were presenting this as just the first step in really dedicating time to engaging the fan community, both the NFT holders, but potential things to come. And the quote that we pulled here is, "We see NFTs and the digitization of our business as a mainstay to engage our fans around the world." And so obviously taking a pretty strategic approach, at least from that perspective, in how they represented this first drop. And then the last one, before we get into more of the nuts and bolts, is there has been a collegiate NFT drop. I'm so glad it was, the women hoopers from Stephen F. Austin. And it was the first time that there had been an NFT minted in college athletics. And it was following the conference championship and Stephen F.'s bid to the NCAA women's tournament. The platform was the Fan Block, which we actually don't have that much experience with. My suspicion is that it's just getting kind of up and going, and good on them to support a women's basketball organization wanting to be first. And this post-game celebration is what they minted. They wanted to kind of commemorate and memorialize this moment in time. And the quote that we pulled from the assistant AD was, "There's no shortage of digital assets that talented creatives are making internally. And certainly there is no shortage of moments that can be celebrated." And so the result here was a $100 final bid. This represents that it certainly is not all dollars and cents. And that would be our recommendation for anyone moving forward into this space is, anytime you do something for the first time, think about how much you're learning as also quite substantial part of the value of what might be able to become part of what this business is in the future, versus only recognizing the revenue as the value that's contributed from this first test into the space. We have a beat on NBA Top Shot. We're happy to share this deck if you'd like it. Obviously, this is not an NFT by a team, league, or player. This is an entire platform representing the digital moments in NBA history. They have, tons of press coverage out there in case you're really curious about what Top Shot is at this point, but we really couldn't not represent how NFTs have come to life without taking a beat to present the platform as it stands today and the revenue that's been recognized from it. And then a new kid on the block, but certainly with fire, like both in its belly and at its feet. This platform, Zed Run, is also a part of Crypto Sports Week. They're doing an interactive later this week. They have created one of the most comprehensive, strategic sports NFT platforms that we've come across. You buy your horse NFT, you breed your horse, you race your horse, you're a part of a community. The graphics are ridiculous. The leadership team is incredibly strategic and really kind people. Like, we're rooting for Zed, all day long. And so we really wanted to make sure we represented it here as a superficial note, but ask you to tune in to Zed Run in our schedule, where they're going to take you behind the scenes of how they're approaching this, building it from the ground up, and thinking about fan engagement and monetization from day one. Okay, so all that said, so what if your athlete, so what if your team or league or organization or friend wants to drop an NFT? We're not going to be able to go through the entire process, but we wanted to leave you with some fundamentals. First, build a strategy. And what we mean by that is, anybody who lives at the intersection of sports and fan engagement has a story to tell. That story is very different depending on the property or the athlete or the sport or the team. It may be a moment. It may be the alter ego of that player on the field and off. It may be the city that the team is based in. That narrative is the first value to think about bringing to life in a new format. Second, as you build the strategy, is about how you can build engagement through the minting, the drop, the sale, and the ecosystem that you're building around now these owners of the NFT having, and the closeness that you're building with that community. That engagement needs to be thought about with longevity. And that engagement certainly needs to be thought about through how you can deepen connection with the community, and sometimes how you can gamify that connection. So once that strategy is built, and again, that could take so many different forms and formats, that we basically wanted to just drop that on you to really think about, in case you're getting pressure to just launch an NFT, you have to think about the strategy. Then it's about creating the content. And that content can be digital content, as many of the examples we've shown. It can be physical content. So for example, later during Crypto Sports Week, Round 21 is bringing to life 8 physical art pieces where the art is created on the Brooklyn Nets hardwood historic court. Okay, so the physical art is on the Brooklyn Nets hardwood. This is historic court. Those 8 unique pieces are going to be minted as NFTs. We're going to do a digital asset. We're going to mint it, but it's going to come with the physical. But the value is the physical, and we're attaching that physical to the NFT as the unique asset that will go on in perpetuity wherever that NFT is sold. So that's the sense. And if anybody wants to see what I'm talking about, if you go to round21.com, you'll see it in the header. But that NBA Lab collaboration is about a physical good. And so you can do a lot of stuff with physicals as well. You can also do NFTs that have both digital and physical content. So one example is Round 21 has this soccer ball here that's got a roses, artistic expression. We could mint this in partnership with a world-class animator and designer, where it shows like game in bloom, and we could mint that NFT, and it could come with a physical soccer ball, really reinforcing the story and the sense of celebration that one gets when they're on the podium at the Olympics. That is an example of digital and physical coming to life, which we call DigiFizzy. And then there are so many different manifestations, but the narrative into the content is really the foundation of any NFT. And you see that from the case studies that we shared earlier. From there, you might ask, well, where do I go next? And so there are a proliferation of NFT marketplaces, and this list is outdated as soon as we publish it. This is from somebody named Alan, who on Clubhouse is certainly considered very wise and knowledgeable around some of the fundamentals around blockchain. You can follow him on Twitter, and he's represented up in the right-hand corner. But this is a sense of all of the marketplaces, like from 2 months ago. It doesn't include Eternity. It doesn't include Showtime. There's so many marketplaces this doesn't even include. But the reason we pulled this up is that doing your homework around what matters most to you as the custodian of dropping an NFT has to start with your homework. And so every platform certainly, builds itself around a handful of characteristics. What's the main login? Do you want someone to be able to log in easily? Do you want a fan to be able to just put in their email, or do they really, you're okay with them going and needing to make a smart wallet? Those are certainly like the handshake you're going to have with your fan base, as well as the platform that you're going to want to think of through. How do you want your fans to pay for their NFT? Do you want to make it more intuitive and natural to their behavior, which would be credit card, or are you all in on blockchain and they're going to need to buy some ether and go through the transaction, through MetaMask or Portis or any of the other wallets that are that are available? Do you want unlockable content? What is your preferred content storage platform? So, thinking through all of the different dimensions of what platform makes sense to you is the best advice we could give you here. We didn't want to align to one platform. We are not endorsed by or supported by one. And so we're really encouraging you to take a step back, use this as a guide, and certainly think about all the different ways that your unique drop should represent what your story is. And then setting up your wallet. Okay, so there are many different choices out there, and this is what, we're going to do a little bit of interactivity if you want to open up a browser while I go through this. But there are many different wallets. You're going to hear MetaMask a lot. MetaMask has been considered, I think, in at least the circles that we spend time, the crypto wallet that's been a gateway to a lot of the platforms. One of the things that it does is it allows you to store and send Ethereum, which you need a lot, for a lot of the platforms that mint and sell NFTs. But it requires a specific web browser and it requires a specific browser extension, something to keep in mind. Portis, a little bit, newer on the block, at least certainly to us, represents itself as multi-chain. And has certainly, the cross-chain scalability that we would hope to be starting to see across the entire, ecosystem. It's known as a multi-blockchain wallet, and it's considered by some very easy to set up. That's what we're going to walk through here in a second. And then you might hear Coinbase a lot, which, is a web wallet. It has been well known because of its kind of connection to Bitcoin, but has recently also started offering Ethereum support. So representing that here. And everything that, especially this whole presentation, but what I'm about to show you, goes without saying, none of this is financial advice. We are not giving any direction on how to spend money, where to spend money. This is certainly about the platforms that are available, and any decisions you make related to your wallet are completely yours. Okay, so setting up your wallet, this is just one example. We felt like we wanted to do a little bit of, show and tell and maybe give you some sense of confidence, but Portis is not endorsing or supporting Crypto Sports Week. We're not affiliated by them, but we wanted to share this as illustrative only. So if you go to cryptopuppers.co, if you want to follow along, we're going to do a step-by-step through their demo site of how to create your wallet. Hopefully taking a little bit of the edge, if this is new for you, off, where you can say, coming off this interactive and this crypto primer, you have a wallet, and that might be something that you're excited to take the first step towards. So while you're going to cryptopuppers.co, I just wanted to mention that this is their demo and is simply to illustrate the steps to join Portis and create your wallet. So very simply, you click on any of these little furry icons that are offered to you. It asks you to create a login, not unlike most email-based login creations. So go ahead and take a second to do that. And the reason why we wanted to make sure that you did this is because this is one of these email login platforms. Again, there are many wallet providers that are out there, but while you're doing that, you should find it pretty intuitive. You've done this for years and years. You enter your email address, whatever password you want, and you click register at the bottom of the window. And so again, this is their demo, but just take a second and let you get through that flow. Obviously, the thing that you're going to want to do from there is confirm. And then very simply, when you're ready, or if you're not, that's fine too. If you want to add any currency, there's a green button up at the top and it goes through a navigation to add funds. So we basically wanted to leave you knowing Portis is out there, as well as MetaMask, as well as if you Google, opening a wallet, cryptocurrency, you're going to see many providers. We wanted to provide you the ability of feeling confident that now you've been exposed to one of them, as well as having a much greater understanding of how sports and crypto are kind of coming into formation to guide you forward. So that ends the first crypto primer. Again, it's actually a primer for our entire week. On behalf of Lady Pheonix and Universe Contemporary, Greg and Expo Boulevard, Dylan and Universe Contemporary, and me, Jasmine from Round 21, we hope that kind of set the stage and lessened a little bit of the intimidation. This is a warm, inclusive community. There's a lot to learn. The way I usually tell people is it's like we're all babies in a sense. Just some of us are like 2 years old and some of us are 3 months old, but we're all very young in this emerging space. And certainly learning the fundamentals now will set up long-term sustainable success for all of us. And we hope that this was one way that you were feeling a little bit more empowered going into whatever part of the sports world you work in. And so the takeaways are obviously do your homework. You can follow, we are Round 21 at Universe Contemporary. Obviously go through the rest of this week. And I encourage you to ask to learn. There are a lot of people that know different parts of this ecosystem. It's okay to ask and keep coming through this week. We've got a schedule that's up and Dylan's worked really tirelessly to make it as intuitive and easy to follow, and follow along and hit us. And our DMs are usually open and we're happy to, keep you as informed as we can. And what's up next is 1 p.m. Eastern on Clubhouse. Megan Rapinoe, Sue Bird, we've got Mariah Duran, we've got incredible women from the Wasserman team. We've got Clubhouse showing up, Clubhouse Sports showing up. It's going to be a fun time where we support the Wasserman crew who's bringing the first ever collective NFT to market on Zora. But until then, hope you have a great week and thank you so much for tuning in.